He knew exactly what was wrong. He knew exactly how to fix it. And he still couldn't. The problem wasn't skill. It was money. The truck sat silent in the dusty yard, hood wide open, rust spreading across the fenders, oil pooled beneath worn tires. He held the broken part in his hands, turning it slowly, comparing it to the engine, wrenched tight in his grip. Could he make it run? No. The part cost more than a week's wages. Every mile, every day, every choice counted. Without the truck, no work. Without work, no pay. Without pay, no food. He had skill, knowledge, determination. Nothing else. And he stared. What would you do if knowing wasn't enough? If knowing could not save your family? Could you survive knowing the solution, yet powerless to act? He had hands that could fix anything. He had knowledge honed over years, but he had no money. Across the country, men like him improvised every day. They took parts from old cars, wired engines with scraps, crafted gaskets from leather and cloth. At dusk, they worked under fading light, knowing that each turn of the wrench could save a mile, a paycheck, a meal. Could one man's skill fight hunger? Could ingenuity survive empty cupboards and lost wages? He tightened a bolt, wiped sweat from his brow, listened to the engine's wheeze. Each small repair was a victory. Each failure could mean days without food. And still, he tried. How far would you go if survival depended on your hands, your mind, your choices? Then came the tricks. The kinds of tricks people rarely talk about today. Some drivers parked facing downhill every night, not because they wanted to, because a weak battery might not start the engine in the morning. Others carried rope in the truck. If the engine died on the road, a neighbor could pull them until it came back to life. Some families drove on tires that should have been replaced months earlier. Others ignored strange sounds coming from the engine. Why? Because every repair meant a choice, a new part, or groceries, a mechanic, or coal for the stove. So people kept driving, listening, waiting, hoping, not because they trusted the machine, because they had no choice. And every successful trip felt like borrowed time. A broken truck could mean more than a lost job. It could mean empty plates at dinner, a child going hungry, a father standing over an engine, sweat dripping, knowing every bolt, every wire, could make or break the next week. He borrowed parts from neighbors. He patched gaskets with leather. He started engines with ropes. Every mile was a gamble. Every trip could be the difference between food and hunger. They went without meals so the children could eat. They skipped shoes, firewood, medicine, anything expendable. One failed start, one broken part, and weeks of work could vanish. And yet, they tried. Every turn of the key, every push, every makeshift repair carried the weight of family, survival, and dignity. How far would you go to keep your loved ones fed, clothed, alive? They lost, not because they were lazy, not because they lacked skill. They lost because life sometimes doesn't bend for knowledge. A man could know the problem, know the fix, and still fail. The engine, the truck, the parts, all symbols. Symbols of choices denied, of weeks without pay, of meals skipped. Every repair, every mile, every borrowed part carried weight beyond metal. It was about survival, about family, about dignity. And even when the battery failed, even when the part broke again, they tried. They survived on ingenuity, stubbornness, and courage. Sometimes, knowing wasn't enough. Sometimes, even skill could not save a life. Could you endure the same? Could you act when the answer is there, but the world refuses to cooperate? This was their reality. This was their struggle. This was America's Great Depression.